5 teams over 2 rounds of Swiss, and now we are here for the Game Changers Oceania playoffs of Split 2. We have the top 4 teams here, Pilski. It's going to be a good one.
For sure. I mean, already played our way through the whole of Split 1, getting into the playoffs now of Split 2. We've been through the Swiss as well. We'll get a little bit more into the format later on, but what I'm most excited about is always the same when you talk about these Oceanic tournaments, these Oceanic qualifiers, is sending another Oceanic team overseas and seeing what they're capable of up against some of the opposition, either abroad internationally or over in Asia. And we did see Swaglord 9000 go last time around, and they turned some heads. They had some pretty decent results, so we'll see who ends up making it this time around.
Yeah, it could be a potential strong favorite this time around as well. They'll be coming back as TSG Game Changers, so looking forward to seeing how they end up doing, because you could have a repeat run, but we got some amazing other teams here as well. And to sort of go through how this playoffs is going to work, take a look at this. We have our 2 teams from Split 1 facing off against our 2 teams from Split 2, where the winner will go over to GC Pacific.
Yeah, 100%. So Split 1 did already see 2 teams qualify and automatically get seeded into the playoffs here. Then we played through another round of Swiss in through Split 2 and had another 2 teams seeded into the Split 2 playoffs here. And all of them will, as you see in the bottom right there, play through a double inland bracket in the playoffs to see who's going to be taking that spot over in Game Changers Pacific, playing against some of the other teams from Korea, Japan, Southeast Asia, a lot of powerhouses over there, and they obviously do have a fair bit of money to play for as well, Kev.
Yeah, decent amount in the bank here. 5,650 for first place, or rather the entire price for 2,500 for first place, 1,600 second, 1,000 third, 550 for fourth. But the most important thing here, Pilski, as mentioned, is the qualification into GC Pacific as well. They're going to the main event. They're going to the big one, which is what we're all here to play for.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you do have a lot of strong teams. There are some over in Southeast Asia. I've had the pleasure of doing some of the Game Changers over there. There are some very strong teams there. We've seen them go quite deep in international tournaments as well, talking about the Game Changers Championship, which, look, for a team from Oceania might be the ultimate dream. We need to focus on who's going to get there into Game Changers Pacific first before we can even think about taking on some of the teams from Southeast Asia, Japan, Korea, for example. Do you see the bracket here? We are just in the first round. We're starting off the first day today. TSG GC and EVE, Eternal Valor, and then we do have Kiss and Divine down there. Those are the teams that we do see seeded against each other from Split 1 and Split 2 respectively.
Yeah, and it's going to be, as you mentioned, a double elimination tournament. We're going to have a situation for the finals. Also plenty of opportunity to see who ends up coming out on top. You already mentioned that, but we have Swaglord coming back this time as TSG GC, and essentially the 2 teams for Split 1 and Split 2 kind of mixed around in an opening bracket. So you have a Split 1, another Split 1 team versus another Split 2 team.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, look, you do have Swaglord returning, but they have made some roster changes. There has been some kind of roster common, I would say, especially for a small region like Oceania. You do see it a little bit when, you do have various splits where there isn't as much on the line, and maybe it's only a qualification versus the international qualification. You will see some roster changes going into the actual international qualification, because that's where it's all on the line. So TSG, formerly known as Swaglord 9000, you do have the same core, Ferret, Alana, Bethany, all coming through from the last roster, and the roster that did, I believe, attend internationally over at Game Changers Pacific. Undoubtedly going to be the favorites to be able to go through again, but they've made some new additions. They've got Tiff as well as Katana. I think Katana was listed as a sub, if I remember correctly. I could be wrong about that, but does seem like she will be playing on the roster for the game today.
Yeah, the team that went overseas, Game Changers last year, as you sort of mentioned, facing up against the best of the rest of Asia. Group B, 3rd place. They got a win in there. We'd like to see if they maybe can make a good run of this playoffs if they qualify, end up doing international. Take a look at their competition though. On the other side, of course, it's going to be Eve, a team that ended up coming through in 2nd place for Split 2 open qualifiers. We have some new faces coming into the scene, perhaps.
Yeah, they will be Similar format to what we see over in Game Changers Southeast Asia, where you do have this big Swiss bracket where all teams will play a lot of games against each other, and overall the results are very close. You know, to have two teams come through the top two in Swiss through this format is absolutely brutal, Kev, because you talk about map diff, even round diff being very close against very different teams. This is the team that will have come through 4-2. Divine is the only team to go 6-0 overall. A lot of teams going 4-2. There are 4 other teams going 4-2, and we've actually had Eve be the team that comes through as the representative in the top 2. I'm not sure based off what tiebreaker, but you can see the round diff or the map diff may have been equal or more favorable for other teams, but I'd assume it's going to be some kind of head-to-head tiebreaker that they've been able to win to be able to get that top. When you look at how close it is for a lot of those teams in the Swiss, for example, you could definitely see that the competition is quite close, and there are probably a lot of teams that could have been good enough to actually qualify into this playoff bracket.
Yeah, they did get a bit of round differential here. 35 to Bunny Ghosts, who got only 20 in terms of how many positive rounds they got over the negative. So they came in second based off that kind of differential. Had a lot of teams in that 4-2. Like you mentioned, there were how many? 5 teams that ended 4-2.
Yeah, I mean, there are other teams that have better round diff than them. I think they have equal best map diff, actually less round diff than you will see from one of the other teams, but I'm assuming they would have gone through on a head-to-head tiebreaker.
Well, they are the second seed coming in from Split 2, faced off against first seed from Split 1. Let's go ahead and take a look at how our maps are going to pan out for this opening match of the day here. So TSG ban Lotus, Eve ban Split, TSG ban Pearl, Eve ban Haven, and our map set is going to be Ascent, Icebox, Sunset.
Yeah, so look, Ascent seems to be kind of in the middle of the map pool, does seem to see a lot of play, at least from the cursory look through the games and the stats that I've seen from previous splits. Worth mentioning, though, that these two teams that have come through from Split 1, like your TSGs, they have not only changed roster, but they've had a lot of time to prepare, a lot of time to potentially flip their map pool and change things up if they want. At least initially, though, they will be picking Ascent. This is the stock standard. This is a staple of the VALORANT map pool that you've seen for quite a while. Icebox going to be the pick there for Eve. Taking a look at their Icebox, they haven't lost on it. They're 5-0 on it. They've been swapping up their comp a little bit, whether they want to mix in the double duelist or whether they want to play the Gecko Sova. We did see it recently over in Masters Toronto, has been played a little bit by the old Swag Lord core, I believe in the open qualifier. A little bit of the Sunset, and you do have a couple of reps of Sunset over for Eternal Valor as well, where they played quite close. Where I do see Emmy, someone that's been kicking around the Game Changers scene for quite a while, just generally playing in the O scene for quite a while as well. I remember, I think, casting her ages ago. I casted her playing DreamHack Showdown, where she did place top 4 in a mixed tournament. That to me does seem like she's been kicking around the scene for quite a while, and taking a dub over a vet of the Game Changer scene and someone that did used to play on this TSG core is pretty promising, I would say, for Eve. I'm interested to see what they're going to be bringing into the server today.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting game, given that it is first seed up against a second seed from the other side, but you also have a situation where for TSG, you know, they haven't played official since that first open qualifier. You do take a little bit of a break there. Obviously, probably screaming behind the scenes a lot as well. Doing a little bit of catch up there. Maybe a little bit for Eternal Valley GC coming in. Maybe a bit more warmed up, having played more officials more recently. 4-2, quite competitive. They didn't quite get that 6-0. The team that they did lose to, Divine, is on the other side of the bracket. They'll be facing up against Kiss, who is the other team that came through from Split 1. And only the first game here as well. It's going to be a decently long tournament over the weekend, full of double eliminations. You're not going to go out straight away if you do lose. It's going to be a decent amount to learn from, but there is only going to be one winner, so quite punishing in that regard. So you're going to have to be able to really pull through and fix your mistakes quite quickly over the course of 3 days here.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, these are always the big pressure qualification matches and tournaments in general when it comes through for every region, but especially minor regions like Oceania. You know, usually you will only have that one big tournament to play for. In the main circuit, you do have obviously Ascension that teams want to qualify for, and then here we have the Game Changers Pacific, rather, which will lead into the championship, but particularly for Pacific, giving an opportunity for a lot of these smaller regions. OC in particular, limited opportunities to be able to kind of get your name out there on the international stage and be able to kind of have these opportunities to show what you're made of against Asia, which is such a powerhouse of people at the moment. And a lot of that does actually trickle down. It is great. A lot of that trickles down into the Game Changers scene because you see a lot of these orgs where you talk about going to Game Changers Pacific for Oceania, for example. You're potentially going to have to play against, you know, franchise level orgs where they have orgs like DRX, or they have some of the Japanese orgs. You know, Zeta has Game Changers teams where they have resources. They have, you know, head coach, analyst coach, assistant coaches, for example, that have a lot of experience. And here in Oceania, do not have the opportunity to get that kind of experience and those kind of resources in terms of org investments. So look, you have presentation, do some damage, put some results on the board, and that's what I'm always proud of seeing, at least coming from this region.
And it does seem like, you know, going through some of the rosters, some of them are getting coached, which is nice to see, which is going to give them the capability to maybe compete internationally. Result open qualifiers as well. TSG ended up going completely perfect, 6-0. We talk about them as the other team that had that sort of scoreline. They only dropped a single map in Split 1 as well for that open qualifier. So a really heavy, I believe it was a plus 86 round differential there, which is pretty gross. That is a lot. Yeah. That is the next team down, just to be clear, which is I believe the core of KISS anyway, maybe a couple of changes on that roster previously, Exto Gaming, plus 39. So we're talking about like basically 50 rounds of extra differential there between first and second coming through from Split 1. So yeah. TSG obviously coming in, you already mentioned, they went 2 Game Changers last year for Pacific. Pretty at least the core. Damn near heavy. Yeah. The core for sure. 3 out of the 5 members, the core went. Pretty heavy favorites here, and it shows in terms of the results that we see from that opening split. You also had Eve in that same Split 1 open qualifier as well. They ended up 3-3. So you have a 6-0 TSG core versus an Eve core that went 3-3. So unfortunately, looking at our Split 1 kind of results here, a bit of a rough one for Eve.
Yeah, potentially a rough matchup at the end of the day. Why you do have the TSG core picking up Ascent. They've had a great run on it, even recently, like winning a lot of very one-sided games. They're kind of playing the new meta comp that kind of stock standard comp that you would see with the, you know, KO Sova, Jet, Omen, and the Killjoy. Nowadays, you're seeing a lot of development with the Teo meta coming in, but now Teo's been nerfed, and you're going to potentially see the Sova coming back in, even without the B main wallbang being something that you have to consider. But I think now that the meta's just shifted, and you do see the TS Deadlock double senti, and they're even mixing Vice in there, whereas Eternal Valor seem to be struggling on this map. If you use Divine potentially as a bit of a barometer or a measuring stick, they did kind of get stomped by them in their last game of Ascent, 2-13, so that doesn't necessarily show that much promise, at least on this first map, unless they've worked on things quite substantially. And they are playing that old meta comp that you're not seeing, at least in the tier 1, kind of tier 2 space. Many teams are We've seen maybe only, I would say, Gen G being the team that I can think of still making that comp work to some regard, but even in Pacific, they didn't necessarily do too well with the old meta comp. So I think it's something that can still work, but it doesn't feel like the strongest approach anymore.
The TSG squad as well, even looking into a little bit deeper, the one they didn't even actually end up playing the map and losing it. So if you kind of remove that from, you know, the contention, you basically have a flawless run through where you didn't lose a single map that you've actually played. A forfeit doesn't mean that, you know, you didn't actually play that one. So it's like, in terms of performances, they essentially went flawless in terms of maps played, also matches played, and in that specific game that they played, up against Eve, which was in the second round of the round robin in split 1. You had an
That was close.
13 and 1 match. It was a blowout, really. You had only one round dropped by TSG. So we're basically going to rerun Ascent again, hoping for Eve to be able to pull through something really competitive and be able to do something against the TSG that basically dominated them.
I think that is a concern. The cores of the teams are the same, although you do see some changes for both teams since the last time that they played. Let's have a look at this Ascent game. I mean, this is... Core is the team that started on defense. I'm wondering if that means Eternal Valor actually opted to start attack, or whether Ascent was their map pick and it went very poorly for them. And it does seem like Eve, at least, did play a completely different comp than they were playing currently, where they're playing the comp that you did see from RRQ. RRQ really popularized it when the Teo meta came in. In Pacific, they were the team that everyone was looking at. They're like, their Ascent is really sick, at least in the earlier stages of the tournament, where they're playing that Sova Teo with the Yoru, KJ, and Omen. But didn't go particularly well for them. Since then, does seem like, at least what I'm seeing from these games on record, that they have gone back to that meta comp, but they still are having kind of mixed results. So maybe potentially some uncomfortability on the map overall. But I do believe Agent Select will be ready, so we can kind of throw all the speculation out the window, get the brass tacks of what's actually going to be happening in the server here today, Kev. And does seem like Eve are going to be playing ISO Jet Double Duelist. And over on the side of TSG, it's Double Duelist Neon Phoenix. Like, this is just ridiculous. You throw all of different. I do like the Phoenix though on Ascent. I think it can work, particularly against a team that hasn't prepped for you. And you did see it in Pacific. Actually, Boom dominated with the Phoenix until teams kind of figured it out. So, you know, just loading in and playing against it for the first time, the Phoenix can be really difficult to play against. And then you throw the Neon on top of that. This is going to be a nightmare for Eve.
This is just completely different. I think this is, I mean, what are we looking at? This is basically either a complete change in the meta, or we have our teams just kind of winging it a little bit, doing something just out of left field, confusing the other team. It's certainly not what I was expecting, if I'm going to be completely honest with you. There's certain pieces that you do see there that are going to be very standard. You see the Omen, Sova, Killjoy. I think every team's going to run that as a default.
Yeah,
no matter
for sure.
What.
I think at the end of the day, especially at this level of competition, when you have teams with certain confidence, they maybe throw things out the window a little bit. They may try to go for something a little bit crazier. We are in the upper bracket as well, so you could take some... You won't be eliminated from the tournament, but I think change that, and particularly in this region, which Oath is very much part of this Pacific region, you do see some craziness. You do see some double, triple duelists thrown out there. I think that you know, obviously the core of some of the Southeast Asian teams bringing that flavor to things quite a lot, and showing that if you do just play aggressive and you rely on your mechanics, then you know, you can do some serious damage. So both teams wanting to play with some serious confidence, and you know, wanting to throw their opponents off guard a little bit, going into a bit more of a kind of standard map that has a formula that everyone knows, but you know, changing things up quite substantially, at least in this opening game.
I'll tell you what, we've got a lot to look forward to, so let's go ahead and head on to our first game of a Split 2 playoffs. Take it away, Jem, Profound Rice.
Thank you so much, Pilski, and Avril, it's
Avril,
good to see you.
I'll go.
So I was going to say Kev, and I'm like, wait, should I use the real name? It's going to be weird if I say Pilski, his online name, and then Kev.
We're all friends here.
No, we are all friends. It's so good to be back. It's wonderful to be back
it's
in
good.
Game Changers Oceania. Jem, how are you feeling about today? I'm so excited to watch some of the returning players again and some new faces as well. It's going to be a good day today.
Yeah, absolutely. Only, as you said, Rice, the players who we've been casting and looking at for a number of years now, but all of these new faces on new rosters, new teams, but new faces also on our Gaming, TSG, and in this matchup, I think they are kind of the heavy favorites to win. They are kind of on a crazy streak at the moment, and from casting them in previous tournaments, they are a super, super dominant team.
Yeah. When we were casting last year, Game Changers 2024, we dubbed Swaggle 9000 as the super team because it was combination of two really strong teams. And looking at this roster here, it's, once again, I would still dub it the super team. I think TSG is still considered one. We don't have Tiff playing in this first game. They are being subbed out by Katana today. Yeah, Tiff was also really strong in 2024, playing for Penguin Party and Raindrops, which Raindrops came first in the first split. So I'm super excited to see them play together, but also I'm super excited to see TSG come back and see how they've improved over the last year, or if whether or not Eve is able to step up and take the mantle from them.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. And then when we look at Eve, this is kind of a newer team to us, but they've come through the Swiss stage here out on top and are one of our teams who've come through that. And maybe they're feeling a little bit more warmed up, Rice. I mean, they've got to play a little bit more games than TSG have, so maybe that will work in their favor. But on the other hand, TSG have had a lot of time to prepare. They have a lot up their sleeve, as you can see from from everything that is going on right now. And yeah, really keen to see who comes out on top. Eve with, this double duelist composition, we are seeing a little bit more. I think PaperX winning has, put something in the ocean. Excited to see how teams do on our first map of Ascent.
I completely agree. I think the aggression is I would say here to stay for a little bit, especially with PaperX going crazy. But here's the aggression on TSG coming onto site A. But Haley's the first one to get a pick onto Ferret, walking through all the utility that Haley has put out. But Haley is now holding Heaven, giving up the site. But now peeking out, doing a beautiful headshot onto Lily. Lots of damage being dealt. Lana taking down Irina. It's now 2 lost for TCG. It's a 3v4 situation. And Diara getting another one. Eve turning things around here on Ascent, getting the first round for themselves. Complete different start for Eve on this first map of Ascent.
Yeah, Eve taking the pistol here on defense and pretty decisive here, Rice. I mean, only 2 going down for the side of Eve, and they've even got some time to, delay the defuse because they did get it just so quickly. I mean, TSG able to knock some players out, but seems like a pretty decisive start from Eve.
Yeah, I think the utility from Haley on site was one of the deciding factors, being able to take down one of the players immediately before they were able to secure the site. Gave them that slight one-person advantage, and now with that, they're going into the second round with even more advantage, of course, with the extra buy. I think, we were talking earlier about how Eve has in both Split 1 and Split 2, and also some other external tournaments as well. But yeah, TSG, I don't know if they've been doing as...
Yeah, definitely. And I mean, this should be an easy on the table. TSG, though, they could get something done here. I mean, these and are really great at turning around situations that do seem lost. So we'll have to see if that is going to happen for the moment. We do have Savo on only 50 HP, so having to be a little bit careful here on the jet here for Eve. TSG looking at potentially a B site push here as Eve kind of crowded all around a map, but heavy util stack onto B to stop this oncoming push.
Yeah, TSG taking this round and a slight disadvantage running old sheriffs at the moment, but with 45 seconds left, they do have to make a decision, and they're deciding to go onto side B, where Haley has set up all the utility, triggering some of it, getting rid of the turret and nano swarm. But out comes the smoke, trying to block the backup from the rest of Eve team. They do take down Haley, but of course they have to sacrifice Ferret in the meantime. Remember, as you mentioned earlier, Gem, Savo is low HP.
Yes, super low. Gone, definitely a little bit. Again, with the better weapons, they should have here from the side of TSG as they look to bunker down and continue this site hold.
Yeah, they are going to be continuing this side hold, and they have bunkered down. They do have one gun upgrade in the hands of Bethany, and so Bethany traded out, but now it's a 1v3, and it is Bethany holding the gate down, but they'll only be able to take one with her. And now the defuse comes out.
Yep, I mean, that got a little bit close at the end, but Eve again, I think pretty, a win that was expected here in that second round. What I'm kind of surprised by is that Savo got dinked at the start there, is on 50 HP and doesn't die, is on 50 HP for the entire round. Which is quite impressive here. But with the money coming in through for TSG now, this is their opportunity to kind of turn things around here. And we're almost at an ult here for Ferret as well. So it could be something for them to play in. It's a bit of a more difficult one for Eve, not as much on the table for them, but they're looking very warmed up indeed.
Yeah, very warmed up, and in this round they only are able to bring 2 guns into their bonus. It's going to be the Outlaw and the Bulldog. But, the Outlaw can do quite a lot of damage still, especially in the hands of Savo on the Jet. I think TSG are trying to figure out where they want to use the Phoenix Ultimate. Ferret did get the orb, so they now have it online. It feels like it's going to be a B push. They're even committing the spike and bringing it closer.
Definitely. Yeah, I think definitely a B push, but the members of Eve are kind of floating around here, though there will be some happening now.
Down Nabiki with that ultimate as well. So good use of the ultimate, taking down one person and not losing anything.
Yeah, absolutely. Clean plant for them. It looks like Savo is going to go on a lurk here through mid arena, getting some shots in, but Lily is able to take down Haley.
Yep, one Alana as well. Now just Diary with a sheriff, but of course Ferret takes them down. Now TSG has the first round on the board and keep 4 guns with it.
Yeah, that's a great round for them. Definitely a must-win for them as well. And they're able to get it on the table. They do use the runner back here, but Alana coming up to their ultimate as well. And now, Rice, we had to do some predictions on Twitter of, who we thought would win the tournament, who we think would have the highest ACS, and what kind of maps we think would be most played. Now, I picked Alana as my highest ACS player because Alana really stuck out to me the last few times we've saw them as a really fabulous player who's very, very flashy. And so looking forward to see what they're going to do here, not in just this next round, but just generally throughout this game. Ferret will pop the flash out.
Ooh. Yep, does, and Savo meets them, takes a bit of damage, but does deal some damage onto Ferret themselves. But Alana, as you mentioned, one of the standout players for TSG. And out comes Lily and tries to make it stand out for themselves as they take down Savo. Now the plant comes through for TSG. Going to secure the site as well, dropping the door down. Diari has a position up on high ground, trying to see around the generator, but not able to find anyone just yet. The door to the tree does break open, and Irina does set up with a bit of smokes. There is a flame coming from Kitana, and I believe Eve is ready and expecting it coming up soon. Haley takes one, and so does Nabiki. It's a bit of an even, not even anymore, as it's now 2v3, 2v2. Yari stepping up, getting 1, 2, 3, winning the round for Eve.
Yeah, wow, that was incredibly clutch there. I kind of think TSG had it here, and the time's going to get low, but they will get the defuse in 5 seconds remaining. Very impressive round from Eve, and I feel like we kind of cursed Alana there, and it's Darari who is actually the best. And potentially in this matchup, so far, top of the scoreboard here for Eve is Darari. Dararia. So we with both of their ultimates online for this next round, and full buy for both of these teams here as well.
I did do a few tongue twisters before casting today, but I obviously should have done tongue twisters with players' names instead. I'm so sorry. Dariari, I think I got it. Lily taking out Savo, massive pick. For TSG, and now the plant comes through. Out comes the Hunter's Fury as well, coming up from Dariari, and not able to find anyone. The plant is successful in one of the default locations.
Yeah, and we will see just a little bit of utility coming out, as it looks like the push on this high ground will be found.
Lily does get found, but gets traded out as maybe foes as well. Now it's a Hunter's Fury instead from Alana trying to find some people, and it looks like it's successful as now Tiari falls, but Irina tries to step up, taking down 2, but Ferret is there to close the deal.
Hunter Fury, I think, just a little bit better than Sova here on Eve, and it's another round for them. Uprise, I think that experience we were talking about earlier did help a little bit more. Is of course still very, very early days. But 4 ultimates on here for a lot to play, and the way that they've been playing, I think this is going to really looks like plant. The Spike just still in spawn right now, just kind of scoping out where they want to go. And it looks like Eve actually pushing a bit. Katana is probably going to be able to catch them if they stick. I think that they're aware. I think noise has been made here, Rice.
Yeah, I think TSG are waiting for Eve to do something. Eve is, of course, on a low buy, so now bit close out there, and TSG are smelling a fight, an easy fight. And so out they're coming. Out comes also Ferret's ultimate runner back, trying to run in and find someone. 2 Eve players, members are in the boathouse at the back of side. So by TSG now to 3v. Only one with an outlaw, everybody else only having pistols.
Yeah, this is going to be difficult here. I think Eve just wanting to get some better weapons online for this next round here. Probably not looking to actually take this one. Although Ferret is incredibly low here. Haley just popping out some shots here on the Sheriff. And is going to go down here. And looks like another round win for TSG here. Down.
For TSG. 3-3, and remember last time these two played in Split 1, which was a fair bit of a while ago. Eve has now had 2 other in practicing to this. Eve only get 1 round 3, and with this round coming in, where both teams have full utility, full gun buy, and a lot of ultimates on the board, I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah, definitely looks like this will be just a heavy stack from TSG here on to the A site for a push here. Thinking about popping the parent. And the lockdown will be committed here by A site.
Yeah, the lockdown and is play. Don't have the Hunter's Fury to counter. Savo did stick around. And a Vicky does win against Bethany, bringing it back. It's the battle. It takes them out. Now comes a drop from heaven. And bring it to an even setting. This is a masterclass in aim and duels as Haley now takes down Katana. Barrett last one left will be taken out by Haley as well. Eve winning that 4th round, keeping themselves out in front.
Yeah, Dari Ari is able to take, this kind of momentum here. Popping too many rounds in a row. I'm so impressed by Dari Ari. I think, Rice, they're doing well. We have it as much as humanly possible.
I'm not very good at saying my R's either, and then there's 2 of them in the one name, and I'm just like, oh, I love you, Dariari. Okay. You've made a really good, strong impression on me, not just with your name, but with your gameplay as well.
Yeah, Dariari's been like fantastic. The rounds get really chaotic here. He's able to kind of be, that force here. Adds pressure. Frigate here coming away. Really low Rice, only 30 HP here. He's gonna have to play a little careful. So just kind of scoping out here for TSG where they would like to plant. 1 minute 20 remaining, so they have plenty of time.
Savo pushing out, take play from Eve that does go the way of TSG instead. Spike, though, still hasn't been collected, and still a lot of time on the clock, 1 minute left, but TSG are going to make a decision very soon.
Ferret is going to pop up that Spike run through sport, but they're waiting for them on. Will be detected shortly, but Eve. Okay, Bethany with the TP here, just making some noise. I think has kind of successfully confused Eve, although a couple of members of Eve floating around B as well, and they will be detected here as the neon wall goes up.
Yep. Lana gets a pick on Dariari with that shock dart. An important pick for TSG, taking out one of the top frags, but Lily gets taken out too. They lose one of their duelists, but they still have Ferret in this double duelist composition. Ferret does get the plant off and now has the ultimate runner back available for themselves. Next round, but Bethany is extremely low in the back of sight. Nabiki going in with a shield, and there's a runner back. Getting one, looking for a second. The spray does go a little bit wild, but they are able to secure both Haley and Nabiki with that play. Now TSG bring it back to even for a match on our hands.
Yeah, definitely. And as you were saying, Rise, the last time they met, it wasn't as but I think Eve learning from not only that matchup, but all of the matchups that they've played through the Swiss stage, they look very much on par right now. I feel like Eve, with some really clutch plays, and TSG a little bit more calculated, a bit more together. But I think Eve are catching them off guard quite a bit here, Rice. Both teams with one ultimate here for this next fight. Lily could be here. Does have the worst weapon, but Samu going down to Katana.
Yep. It's going to be a little bit of a rough fight, I think, for Eve, this one, with only sheriffs in their hands. They did have to run an eco, and now there's only Haley left, and a little instead of just playing the plant. Oh, the plant, of course, but yeah, Haley is sort of getting hunted down. Of course, Haley does want to die in this round so they get the money. They will be able to take down Lily.
Hey, that's better than nothing. Yeah, you'll definitely take more here, and this will be a bit of a further investment here for Eve, and it looks like a timeout will be called here. I wonder by who though?
Timeout possibly. Not sure if it's a tech or attack. Could be, but I don't know why they would timeout after winning a round if they want to stop the momentum. So I feel like it's more. It could be Eve to try and bring themselves back into the lead, as this is the first time in the tournament that the map that they've lost the lead. So could also be a tech. I feel like there's likely a tech considering it's OCE. Remember?
yeah. Never forget. We could get a bit of a classic OS moment online, or it could be a timeout from Eve. That would be bizarre. If it was a TSG timeout. But, we're not Valorant coaches. Sometimes coaches see things that have gone wrong that we don't. But that is not going to be the case, as Eve will take a timeout here. And I think you're right, Rice. This is the first time in the series that they have lost the lead. So I think we need to take a timeout here and kind of discuss what's been going wrong, how to stop this kind of momentum here from TSG. They've got some ultimates to work with too, so maybe considering how to use that, and with this op buy from Savo as well, I think that's definitely the kind of play they're going to want to be working towards here. This jet op on the defense, a lot of angles you can play with. So I think Eve kind of discussing that at the moment as we go into our 10th round.
Yeah, 10th. Play by Savo, who's trying to find something, find anything, does have dash available, will get pinged and has to respect the information gathered. But on the other hand, Lily and Alana have taken out taken out Haley and Habiki. Now Savo gets taken out with the shock dart and of course some bullets as well. Maybe a flawless, as is now Dariari versus 5, and Kitana making a lot of noise, is on the flank. Will get taken out by Dariari, but Alana secures the deal.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to be enjoying that round if you were Eve or the coaching staff of Eve, as they take a timeout. They have have the operator online, but I think just far too focused on that aspect rise. And whilst Savo is sitting there with the op in hand, everyone else is just completely focused on something else. They're not even paying attention to Savo, really. And I think TSG playing that aggression really, really nicely, and is able to capitalize off of kind of like slower push from. And yeah, I mean, that's not a good sign for Eve. 3 in a row here for TSG. Another eco.
Eve, if they're going through another eco, 6 Tony in the hands of TSG, so they are looking to secure. Struggle to meet them halfway here, especially with this eco. It's
moment from a adopt trends here. I mean, I think Eve just wanting to get a couple of weapon upgrades here, and you know, making sure maybe a couple people stay alive, maybe a save round for them. The better weapon, definitely the person you want to have on board. With that weapon running back committed here by Ferret, and is able to get down Savo, so that's a 4v5 to start off this push.
4v5 to start. I swear Ferret has that ultimate every 3 rounds and is playing
Yes,
it as
it's
soon as
crazy.
It is online and using it to get a Eve, and hopefully that gives them a bit more of a mental attitude in the half.
Here, backlines cause kind of a staying force here with Dari. You know, strong backline here. TSG though, all cylinders kind of firing off at the moment as Alana has Hunter's Fury. However, Eve, this could be their round rise as they're able to commit to Savo, hoping
Has been running the op outlaw. Now it's a 4v5 and was a lot. It's actually one away.
as thinking maybe about a B site push. They just get tail splitted by Eve all across the map, but a little bit more of a heavy stack on to B. As the where his
Is using it after taking out comes TSG onto B side and out comes it's back to a 4v3, now a 3v3 as Alana gets a few. Now Daily.
They started up decently strong. 3 of their 5 rounds won in the first 4. That includes the pistol and the anti-eco.
Yeah, for sure. Made this game a little bit more competitive. Really helped that they're able to kind of chain some of these big ults together. The ISA ult won pretty consistently by Nabiki, but I think majority of the rounds won by Dariari with multi-frags on the Sova in the mid to late round. Really, really good stuff from her. Ferret, though, only second game on the Phoenix, stringing those Phoenix ults together over and over and over again and just smashing the B site. Like, they were just smashing those side XX. They had a really, really good turnaround after losing the pistol there, and had a lot of good attacking rounds. I think the main person that really needs to step up, though, for me, for Eve, is definitely Savo. I think previous games, and might just be, you know, the playoff nerves, but haven't impacted that in some of the other games. So I want to see if they can kind of turn around their fortunes on the attacking side.
Till the end. This is always going to be a difficult topic to bring up, but Savo and a single kill come up from Savo, which you mentioned out of 300 ACS dollars, you would like to see a little bit more there. Dariari is going to be carrying most of that fragging power on the defensive side, but maybe once we turn things around on the offense,
let's get some better impact on the entries, and definitely going to need to see another pistol here from Eve.
round still plenty of time to close the gap. Let's see how we go.
Is 7-5 at the moment, while Eve is, you know, doing pretty good. They started off taking both the pistol, the first 2 rounds. So excited to see what Eve does here if they're able to take the pistols once again.
Yeah, definitely. And 7 backing half coming in here on Ascent. This is exactly what you want to see if you are them. 5 is a working with what you're very much still in the past and kind of Eve will be on the attack for this half. TSG on the defense, first pistol round here at Ascent.
Yep, Savo now going through all of mid, clearing all the corners as possible, as TSG now are running through mid as well and going through the market area. The door has been closed, of course, and now being broken. And Lily being the first one, of course, to push it through. Defender spawn. Lily now a bit more further in is going to meet Savo and take him out immediately. Savo not being able to step down, but maybe next round, of course, Arrow will be able to reveal so many members on site, and TSG coming, taking down flawless pistol round.
G. And that side of TSG, Eve looking to rebuild after that one, but TSG kind of their way a little bit flustered, a little bit, you know, kind of out of order here. They don't, as it did at the beginning of the map here.
With a like in multiple other tournaments. So TSG have that experience of being able to stay calm under pressure. So that on what Eve's mentality is.
Round weapon.
Abiki takes only one, Lily with them. It's a near fall. Does take one, but of course TCG now with no
really strong kind of half of lane to get this definitely must round this.
Yep, TSG also losing only one member. Have quite playing this
I feel like SP try and stumble.
For the team of Eve, but Ferret a guy will start Bobby on side and now with two more guns.
We good.
Yeah, a pretty, you know, kind of chaotic. I was gonna maybe having to commit 5 TSG. In this game,
Continues to do so as they take down a one. Eight. Lily and Katana try and retake site.
yep, 4v3, but a tricky one here. But a weapon side down Haley. So a 3v3, but oh boy, the hell.
Last one. Go. While that Nabiki ultimate comes out, I don't think they're going to be able to.
There's no time.
Yep, that was really well played by Nabiki. Simply. TSG won only 3. Return. Lily is low, but Bethany gets one onto Dariari. And Bethany as well getting that third this round.
At playing their timings, and they're really out the old here.
Everybody is sitting, but Lily also starts. Both Duelist Ultimates available, and I believe Ferret is now using to get some area. While Ferret does go down, their members is still on the play, and they have taken down so many players now, and they will be able to get this round, bring them to a 7. Very slowly, but eventually they may be able to do it 11-7.
Yeah, 11-7 here with TSG on 11. Attacking half here of Ascent. Quite a few ultimates here for this next round, Rice. Could be a pretty explosive one from both of these teams here. Not a full buy coming online for the side of TSG, as it doesn't look like they will have the funds for it. But with Lily here with the Neon ultimate, not needing that better weapon, is just going to zap some people down, as I'm sure what Lily is hoping for. But a lot to play with here for Eve here on their attacking half here. I'm wanting to kind of stop this momentum from TSG, and I think that last round definitely a momentum stopper. Savo, a piece, great for Eve.
Trying to find some, but it's getting a bit confused between one enemy. But all the members of Eve are falling slowly, and Lily
Wow.
up with 2 more. 12-7, match point for TSG.
Wow, I mean, Eve here with a couple of good rounds, but TSG firm. But you do have to end it to Eve, Rice. I mean, as we said last time they faced each other, it was not nearly this close, so a bit more improved here. But this is going to be a very difficult round for them to win, Rice. Not a lot on the table for them. They do have the Bladestorm available for Savo, who has been struggling just a little bit here in this first game, whereas TSG, pretty much a full buy here, apart from the half shields from Alana. Alana with the Bladestorm as well. We will get a little point of view of the dart going in there. Savo committing the Bladestorm as well, just peeking around the corner. As it looks like it will be a pivot, not going to commit to a B push here. But Savo will stick around just to make some noise, confuse the members of TSG. So they kind of float around points, and Alana actually able to get Savo.
That's a bit rough. That's actually pretty rough. Savo, it looked like they were warming up in the last couple of rounds, and now that Savo is down with that Bladestorm, Eve is 1 player less in this pivotal round here on Ascent. 12-7. TSG are sitting on map point, and the spike of Eve is heading towards A site, where they do, of course, still have Sova's Hunter's Fury, as well as Nabiki's ultimate if they want to 1v1
It's
situation.
you and me.
And here it is. They're going to be collecting. Does get destroyed and then taken out. In the meantime, Pharaoh gets 1, getting 2 now. It's a 1v4. Irina, last one left, last hope of Eve on this map of Ascent. And the spike is in the hand of TSG. It's going to be a bit of a hard fight for Irina in this 1v4. Out comes Hunter's Fury. Out comes all the information. Out comes of all the players in this tournament, and it's so good to be back and watch them all fight it out and have such a good start of game, a competitive start.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've seen some really kind of dominant maps, and that was definitely a little bit closer and was so fun. I mean, even though Eve do lose that first map here, I think there was some really great moments from them, and I think they need to kind of, you know, talk to themselves about maybe kind of the timings they were making and maybe not falling to that kind of pressure from themselves. I think TSG seem very confident, and I think that's something maybe Eve need to, you know, keep them happy spirits with them for that second map, because when their spirits were high and when they looked confident, they looked really great. But I think once that confidence slipped, that's kind of where you saw them lose a little bit more rounds. But TSG, very confident, playing fantastically, and just got better and better as the rounds and the map went on.
Yeah, you mentioned it, you know, at the beginning of the entire map. You know, Eve looks so confident, looks so strong, and I was super excited to see the plot twist happen. But TSG, with the experience, do step up, of course, and do take this first map. This is, of course, not over yet. It is a best of 3 series, so we've got one more game minimum to come through. But let's hand it over to the desk to break it down further.
Thank you, Rice. A explosive finish to our first map here. PILSKI, you said you would like to see Eve maybe take away the pistols on that second half. Unfortunately, they did lose the pistol, but they then...
half. I think maybe if they got more out of the defense side of Ascent, things could a little bit. I felt like they had some good ideas on Ascent. They definitely the casters mentioned again. some of these other tournaments have been played, then maybe yes, second game of the snow, and the
recovery. I do remember she ended first half with only just look a little bit more positive, but just couldn't quite find the momentum on that jet, which, you know, we do need to see a little bit more out of jet. Looking over towards the 12 and 19 over map. This 13 and 7 is still an improvement on where they played this exact same map, played basically the exact same team, minus a couple of changes in the roster, just a couple minor ones. That was a 13 and 1. This is a competitive Ascent that we've seen out of Eve despite being lost.
Yeah. Players on Eve as well. You can kind of, you know, write this Ascent game off a little bit. It is by the things that I look at. You're a bit of a slow. Did still get some good rounds in there. You know, I find the coaching staff of Eve, or some of the players on Eve that want to, you know, keep the emotional energy up and that kind of thing. I'm going to say, look, that time map. Advantage.
If you drafts, if you end up playing TSG again, of course you don't lose straight away. They ends up back then the standard, the default, a little bit safer side. So the double duelists on both ends is certainly an interesting look, but it works out quite good at the end of the day for TSG. It's that comps might struggle a bit on the defense, but when both teams are running double duelists, it's like they'll have pretty similar offense and defensive capabilities, and maybe the defense teams walking away 24 and 9. Absolutely farming that entire map.
Yeah, she did. So look, we'll see. I don't think it's going to be Phoenix or look to get to Icebox. We've got to go to a quick break, so we'll bring it back with the next map when it's ready to go.